I'm joined together with some of the best hitters to come through the game of baseball.
Chadwick, best athlete at the table. Crazy start.
That's a
crazy start.
Controversial.
Prove it.
Wow. I feel like that's one thing. I don't know how you teach it.
Yeah.
If someone has the answer to that, you'd be a billionaire.
I couldn't hit water if I fell out of a boat this week, and then this guy's dialed in. We have one hit, and it's just like the perfect combo.
And I look back and I laugh because I was a career 200 hitter in pro ball, so I didn't really do any one of those. I tried to get the fastball early, especially when I wasn't going good, because I knew if I got down 0-2, like it was going to be an embarrassing walk back to the dugout. But
A lot of coaches hit the ball the other way, hit the ball backside, hit the opposite field. And I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hit it to the second baseman or the right fielder and get out. That's not fun.
And then they cut you a week later.
I think
so, yeah.
you'll have a young kid hitting and they'll be
Yep.
I mean, I think pitchers are the best fielders on the field, by the way, because we're the closest to the
Was the new thing, the kick change that people were throwing?
Yeah.
Like,
It's changeups and splitters, man.
It's not hittable.
They're
These guys are so good.
And then
It's
they'll
not
ask you, they'll be like, hey, how'd you take that? You just be like, I never saw it. Never saw it.
big league takeout.
Wasn't a good
I saw it
take,
early.
yeah.
Hey, welcome back. We're here live at the show. My name is Jake Robbins, and I'm joined together with some of the best hitters to come through the game of baseball on the amateur level, through high school, into college baseball, and professionally as well. To my left, Dustin Harrington, ECU phenom, I like to think of you as, and drafted by the Chicago Cubs, played in minor leagues. Brett Alston had a great career in high school at NC State and then with the Chicago White Sox. Tyler Chadwick from Coastal Carolina, probably the best athlete at the table. We'll talk about Tyler and his accomplishments at Coastal Carolina. And then his teammate from Coastal Carolina, Zach Remillard, hitting coordinator at Showcase Baseball Academy and current big leaguer with the Chicago White Sox. So with that being said, thanks guys for coming. Enjoyed having you.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, cool.
Very excited.
Appreciate
Appreciate
the
fun. Yep.
Yeah. Chadwick, best athlete at the table. Crazy start.
That's a
Crazy start.
Controversial.
Prove it.
Wow.
Hard take. All right, so we're going to talk about hitting today. There's some controversy around hitting from the amateur level to the professional level, new school versus old school, so we'll jump right in. So before we do that, as I talked about Tyler Chadwick being the best athlete at the table, 3-time conference player, or not player of the year, but conference, I guess all conference at Coastal Carolina. And then, the reason I say best athlete at the table, storied football career, and then has been coaching college football for the last 7 years. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I've been got to be a GA at Coastal Carolina, and then transitioned to move back to Charlotte, where I was the tight end coach for a couple years, and then spent the last year at Liberty coaching up there. So it's been a little weird going from, people always ask me, why did you get into coaching football as opposed to baseball? But my dad's a longtime high school football coach, so it was kind of always something I wanted to do. But I've always stayed very in the know of baseball around college, especially not so much pro, but especially college baseball with Coastal, and then following Zach's career and a bunch of guys that I play with. So baseball is always obviously very near and dear to my heart.
Right. So that kind of takes us to multi-sport athletes, at the youth level. Do you believe in it? Do you not believe in it? Some people argue it. The games, football, baseball, basketball, they continue to get more specified, and kids are starting to spend year-round on one sport. I think all of us here played multiple sports at one time. My personal opinion is if you're good at it, you can compete to win at it, you should play it. Not just play it because. Anybody else want to jump in on that? You agree with it?
Yeah, I agree. Y'all all played multiple sports too, right? Yeah. So at the young age, I feel like if you're good at the sport, play the sport. You're only gonna live once at a young age, and enjoy it. Now I think there's different ways to go about that. I don't think you can play travel ball in basketball, football, and baseball. So I feel like you got to pick one there. But as far as playing with your schools and your middle schools and your rec teams and stuff like that, I feel like that's fine. I don't feel like it really matters. I feel like it makes you more athletic in the long run, cardio and everything.
Yeah.
I'm very much for it. Recruiting guys, I love recruiting baseball players, especially quarterback. if I was recruiting college baseball, I would particularly love recruiting high school football players because they're tough and things like that. So I'm very much for. Obviously, I agree with you. If you're not any good at the other sport, probably should start specializing. But the crossover with basketball is tough. Obviously, basketball kind of floods into baseball season. But yeah, the more whether it's track, whether it's football, whatever it is, but the more sports you can play, in my opinion, the better all-around athlete you are.
Right, you gain mental toughness and physical toughness from football, the agility from basketball, obviously the cardio that works. Baseball is, more of I call it the smart man's game. You got to be intelligent to play the game, but you also have to be able to think and play at the same time. Think between pitches, and all of them help each other. But if you're not good at one, don't play it just to play it. Right.
The game within the game in baseball is way different than the game within the game of football. The game within the game in baseball. There's so many levels to it. Football, it's not as deep. That stealing pitches, the knowing the certain things going on in the baseball game it's not the same level of detail as it gets into football.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I will say the coaching element of football has a more direct correlation to outcome. Because in baseball, it's there's this chess game going on, but it's 99% uncontrolled variables.
Yeah, I agree.
So even stealing signs, the execution piece isn't as proactive, especially from the offensive end. So it's you can't always implement them effectively when you do have those little chess pieces. And you can do your best. And I think over time, if you're implementing them in the right spot, you're positioning yourself for success. Like a manager pinch hitting a guy, and it doesn't work 3 at-bats in a row, but long term, it's going to play. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of a different format.
We've seen a lot of stealing signs, stealing plays in both baseball and football in the recent years. Obviously, the Houston Astros were under fire, banging the trash can on all-speed pitches versus fastballs. And then here recently, the Patriot Gate, them stealing signs or stealing plays at practices. And then most recently, I think at Michigan even right now. It's understood, and it's the game within the game, as you said, Tyler. In baseball, we're always trying to steal the other team's signs. You're always trying to figure out what's going on. That's the game within the game, and you hear parents at the youth level I can't believe they were stealing signs, or they knew what we were doing. It's the game within the game.
Absolutely.
That's the intelligent part of it that you got to do in between plays, in between pitches. So, old school versus new school hitting. If you had to pick one, what do you think each of you are?
I'm old school.
Old school?
For sure.
I'm a mix of both. I think it's, you know what, I'll be Switzerland here and stay neutral. I think hitting is such an art to where there's not one philosophy. There's not a cookie cutter system. If Teacher Man works for you, great. I don't agree with most aspects of it. I've actually hit with Teacher Man. Took away a couple of things that I liked. There was a bunch I didn't like. But I think it's specifically for the individual.
Right.
I couldn't agree more with that. We were very, I wouldn't say we were fully Teacher Man, but we were very heavily implementing that at Coastal. And I thought the great thing that Schnall did when Schnall came back from my senior year, I was not a Teacher Man guy. I could not hit that way. It was not, my body didn't move that way. So Schnall was very much don't come hit with me. I'm not going to mess with you. So I think the best coaches are the ones that are able to look at a kid and be like, okay, this fits you, this doesn't fit you, and implement it that way, as opposed to it's a one sale, everyone needs to hit this kind of way. So I'm very much in the belief that it's a little bit of a mix. I think if it was me coaching college baseball today, I would try to recruit the swing that I like and teach more approach-based stuff within the zone, stuff like that, as opposed to, and maybe that's just me not knowing the swing well enough to teach it, but that's kind of how I would lean.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Do you think the philosophy of Coastal was that because of the dimensions of the field and the wind blowing out?
Potentially. I think, you could teach more to it.
You're going to let him chirp us like that?
I'm not sure. No.
We're just
It
gonna
opened
sneak
my
it.
eyes. Back when I was coaching at NC State, I didn't realize Coastal, and don't take this the wrong way, I
it's
played
a
at
launching
Providence
pad.
High School, which is a
Yeah,
launching pad. It
more of a
was
launching pad at Coastal,
299
yeah.
feet down right field to left field, right? 350 to center. Yeah, it was fun to hit at.
It was.
When I went back to coach at NC State, obviously the new stadium, we get down there, we're taking batting practice, and guys are clipping balls that would be routine flyouts anywhere else that were going 400 plus feet. I think there was, don't quote me on this, probably 12 home runs hit between both teams that night.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if Coastal's philosophy is that of get the ball in the air, maybe it's tailored specifically to the field and the setup. I don't know.
He knows a lot more about the swing than I do, and the dynamics of like when Teacher Man came and taught it. I was not involved in those hitting sessions because it just didn't work for me. So I would agree that there was probably an element to, yeah, if you're playing at Coastal Carolina, the wind's blowing out, like we're not hitting ground balls today.
No doubt.
So I mean that's my mindset.
But I think it goes back to your point too, where it's like if you're the type of hitter that isn't a guy that can just miss hit balls and it goes out,
Correct.
then why do it?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're more of a contact gap to gap, then Teacher Man probably wouldn't be for you, but it could be. Like it just depends on like if you're super steep and that's the way you got to feel it, just to be 5 degrees up with the attack angle, like whatever it is. But it's got to be individualized.
I was very handsy, so I was not a Teacher Man. Did not like me much.
Yeah.
Rich always finds himself at the middle of all hitting controversy, so welcome to the conversation, Rich, who is Teacher Man. But I had a good experience with him. I think that, like, going back to the original conversation of, like, new school, old school, it's like, I think as I progress, like, I used to be very field-oriented, and I think that I realized that that was the way I personally functioned, and there's a lot of different ways that players, especially amateur players, like the way they process information, the way they understand how their body moves. Some guys have a deeper understanding, some others have less of an understanding, and some guys just want the freedom to compete in the box. So it's like, I think it becomes this system, and I think it's starting to like emerge as like the most prominent way to, an effective way to impact every player is to like address movement and swing inefficiencies, and doing whatever it takes to address those to maximize the body type that you're working with. Because trying to make a car, a truck, like it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the vehicle we're driving. We can tune up some things, open some things up. We can get in the weight room and maybe it'll progress in a way we didn't see. But it's like, what can we do with this system to make it the most efficient? And sometimes, like, that's a movement pattern. Sometimes it's like training bat speed. Sometimes it's gaining athleticism. Sometimes it's playing multi-sports. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's mindset. A lot of these kids like have really good moves and they have anxiety. And anxiety plays a role in executing no matter how good your swing is. Right. So it's like you have all these variables. So it becomes like, how do I take this like functioning unit of a person and maximize like the entire tool set? Because sometimes like it's not even offensive based, the thing that is holding them back. Sometimes it's just confidence. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like deep diving and like not copy and pasting what I think someone else should do without like receiving information first. I think if you're going to try to help someone reach their potential, like you should start with a question, if that makes sense. So like 100%. New school to old school, it's like, what is this kid's capacity for information? Like, is analytics going to paralyze him, or is this kid going to feast on it because his brain is very cerebral and operates in a way that, like, analytics makes sense? He's not a feel guy. He's an outcome, external cue guy. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the path I take, to where, like, everyone's a little different.
Who were the first people that kind of dove into the analyzing the movement? Because I somewhat, with Mike Morrison being at Maryland and Swope being the kind of guy that was very much on the forefront of like, I'm going to teach the swing based upon movements of people as opposed to just a swing. He was the first one that I kind of saw doing that with Matt Shaw, and there was another hitter they had that was a really good player. But is there somebody that started that movement, or has it kind of just been a thing as of late?
I know that like the guy from Maryland did like he grouped different body types
Aerial,
and movements.
terrestrial movers.
Yeah, and like just kind of started catching fire with like Lamont Wade and Shaw, and like guys started to like the how personal it was to their, because it like translates to the weight room. If your hitting program doesn't move toward like functional movement weight room, it's like you're not going to progress. You're going to have to like maximize the way your body moves athletically in order to produce the best swing. So a lot of offensive work is done without a bat in the mirror, creating mobility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look at golfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't big. I was actually pretty eye-opening when I went to the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, and you see Spieth, you see Justin Thomas, and these guys are tiny,
Yeah.
hitting the golf ball 330-plus yards. I think you touch on a lot of great things. The feel for your body, I feel like, is a skill that, one, I don't even know if you can teach it or if it's innate. But I just look back and reflect on my time at NC State, where I had the privilege of playing with Trey Turner, where he could feel his body better than anybody I've ever seen. And there was a time we're hitting the cage. We're in pro ball, it's the offseason, front tossing him, and he hits a ball, which I thought was a perfect rep. And he steps out and he's like, "Dadgummit." I'm like, "What are you mad about, dude? Like that was a perfect rep? Like you're upset about that?" He's like, "No, I felt like," and I'm just exaggerating here. He's like, "My right earlobe felt like this." And I'm like, "What?" He said something outlandish. I'm like, "Whatever, dude." And he processed, he was thinking, was able to make the adjustment in one swing to where it would take me 50 swings to make one adjustment. I just keep doing it over and over again because I had no feel, no proprioception skills. That I feel like that's one thing. I don't know how you teach it.
Yeah.
If someone has the answer to that, you'd be a billionaire. I'm sure there's ways to work on it. But to me, that's arguably one of the most important parts of hitting, along with confidence.
How about you, Dustin?
I think you hit a lot of good subjects. So when I initially said old school, my mindset is more or less the youth level, right? Like it's hard to do them type of movements with a 9-year-old kid, right? Because they don't understand the movement, right? So it's like then they start flying front shoulder, hip starts just dragging, like crazy stuff happens. So like the youth level, I feel like it's got to be more direct. And like you said, with all my hitters, I do that. Like if a kid's really strong, he's gonna I'm gonna work with him doing something different, right? Like every hitter's different. Everything I do is different. And I know y'all probably do the same thing. Like every kid you're not doing the same drills every day with the same kids.
Right.
Everything's gonna change. But as far as the youth level, it's really hard to integrate that type of stuff mentally and physically. Now there'll be some kids that can do it. There's some phenoms out there. You've got some with SBA, right? Like they can do it. But the average kid trying to work his way up, like you said, the mental side of it. Like you got kids that have that mental side. They're like, "Oh, I understand this. I can figure this out." Not many of them are like that at 9, 10, and 11.
I like what Zach said, asking, it starts with asking a question, and sometimes when you're on your own, it starts with asking yourself a question, like, where am I at right now, and where can I work from? I have a couple notes here. Old school is kind of like, see the ball, hit the ball. Well,
Yes.
no kid, you got to see the ball, hit the ball, right? And we're never going to get away from, baseball's always going to be a repetition sport, and knowing what you're working on and putting the quality reps in, not quantity of reps in, is important. Versus, we have 12-year-olds walking in these days, if you're asking, is my pelvis rotating 23 degrees? Am I maintaining my kinetic sequencing? It's those two things are really far apart. We're never going to get away from the reps of, the old school approach to baseball. And I think as much as these kids want the experience of playing games and the exposure in those games, the time spent in the cage or in practice and getting the quality reps is never going to go away. It's very important. So in that, I had a couple funny questions for you guys. Picture yourself being 12 years old, right? Okay, back when you were in youth baseball, and can you imagine yourself asking yourself, did my bat angle approach the ball at 2 degrees versus 10 degrees, or and how much is that helping the game today with the analytics that we do have at the 12-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old level? Obviously, at the pro level, those things are needed. The details become so fine and minute. How important are they, and when should, if you're going to have a kid walk in after you ask the question, which I think we all agree on, for me as a pitcher, I was taught how to get you guys out, and most of it is very difficult to do. But asking, for me, it's, hey, when was the last time you're on the mound? When's the next time you're going to be on the mound? How much have you been throwing? Those things. What are the questions you ask hitters, before you start to work with them when they come in? You just met him. He jumps on your schedule. You're going to do a hitting lesson. What are the questions you guys ask? What would you share with the people that are listening right now, the questions they should be asking themselves as they're going into a session?
Mine, I got 2 questions. Have you got any videos of him in game?
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing because the cage swing is not the in-game swing usually.
Right.
And then it's the parents usually with them with the younger ages. It's going to be like, hey, what do you feel like your struggles are? What do you feel like you're good at? And then we'll start the lesson and we'll see where he's at, and then we'll get some video footage and see where he's at. But that's the first 2 questions. Them actually saying what their struggles are, like they're knowledgeable of what their outside fastballs, can't touch them. Okay, well, you're probably flying. Let's see what's going on, or anything like that. So that's my first 2 questions. I'm sure y'all got some too.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's one characteristic of all good coaches, I feel like, especially if you're working with a kid for the first time, you don't want to come in and make rash adjustments without getting to, one, figure out their verbiage, their thought process, what they're focusing on, what their misses are. Do you snap hook to the pull side and spoon it to the opposite field side? Like, do you need to work on pitch recognition? Do you recognize breaking balls? Do you make quality swing decisions? Like you said, there's hitting, and then there's a lot of subcategories that go underneath it that all of them need to be worked on. But I think all good coaches, as we know, they get to learn the individual, learn to speak their language, figure out their cues, and go from there. And you do that just by asking questions. Whenever they hit a rep or they take a swing, are you good with that rep? Like, is that your ideal perfect rep, especially off the tee where there's not a lot of variables, there's no timing, there's not a lot of things going into that, but just being able to speak their language, understand what they're thinking. Because you and I, we can say the exact same thing in 2 different ways, and it resonates when you say it versus when I say it. So I think that's key.
That goes back to, like, first of all, yeah, spot on. Like, it gives us information and feedback of how they think, how they process, and if, like, they're accurate and, like, self-assessing when we see them after we ask them the question. And it goes back to the Trey Turner thing. It's like, I love to use, to take time during each session to ask the kid to give me a grade of the swing he just took. In every swing he takes, I ask him, score it, score it, score it. So it's like, I see what's happening. I have a perception of what's happening. I see the result. I have data and information, and the kid tells me on a scale of 1 to 10 where he would grade that swing, and I begin to extract, like, what this kid values as, like, a result, feel, and it's like at high levels you find that results that won't translate aren't, like, he would grade that lower because he knows that's the wrong feel. So it kind of gives you a gauge of awareness versus, like, the kid that no matter what, like, if he hits a line drive, like, that's a good swing, and then if he doesn't hit a line drive, it's a bad swing. Doesn't matter pitch location, doesn't matter chase, and you just start getting feedback of, like, what level or what entry point do we have to take with this kid to meet him where he's at.
Right.
The other thing I would add in on that, because I'm obviously not coaching as much baseball as you guys, but the other thing that I would suggest is something that I do with my guys when they first get here. I always give them a VAC test. The VAC test is visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learner, and that way, if I have 5 guys in my room and they're all visual learners, and I sit up there and I talk for an hour and a half, and I'm saying all these keywords and coaching points and stuff like that, I just wasted an hour because those guys are sitting there looking at me like, for me being a kinesthetic guy, like, guys would give me a lot of pointers and tools and verbiage, and I'm sitting there like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have to see it. I got to see video. I got to see you feel me through it. And so my thing is, especially with coaching, is like, you got to figure out how your guy learns. Is he a visual guy? Is he auditory? Is he kinesthetic? And that way you can tailor some of the teaching towards that.
Yeah, I like to ask kids, what's their best subject and worst subject in school? Because that kind of starts to tell me how their brain works.
Yep.
And what the way they think. What about metal bat versus wood bat?
As in, like, transition or
Yeah,
just
like kids.
Are we talking like first year BB cores, or are we talking like
Don't bring those
hot
back up.
baths?
BESRs, or are we talking like current bats?
Do you like putting a wood bat in a kid's hand at 10, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if I do. I really don't. I think I disagree. Can't wait for this.
All right.
Let's do it.
Debate on.
Yeah, I don't.
Debate
I
on.
mean,
We finally disagreed.
Wood bat exposes a lot of flaws. And I'll even go one step deeper where using a heavier wood bat will expose mechanical flaws instantly. I just remember back at NC State, we had this massive, it was like a 34-inch banana Louisville Slugger that was like a 34-48. If you're off with your initial move or your connection or whatever it was, like it got exposed. And the best hitters that I played with and against, they'd pick this bat up right away and get perfect results. And I'm like, dadgum, like, obviously there's something to it. And like, it goes back to what we said earlier, though. It's all dependent on, do you like it? Does it help you? Do you think it helps you? And if it does, use it. For a younger kid, it's just less room for error. I feel like obviously you can get away with a little bit more with a metal bat, but I don't know. I like it.
I think like on all of those points, like it's effective, it's feedback, and it's good. For me, at a young age, the weight of a baseball and establishing like a fear and discomfort. You know, you get blown up on wood, like it's kind of a different feel with the hands, and I just think that like most of them are distributed a little bit like heavier in the end. The metal bats can do some like absolute miracles with the weight distribution, and I think for me it's like it depends on the player, but probably only the like higher end players, because like I don't want kids to realize they're not kids too quick, and I know that's a, like generalization, but like almost protecting their confidence as long as I possibly can at that age. So like I want them to have feedback for sure, but I don't want them to I don't know. I don't want them to go through the pain, the fear, like to an extent of like losing confidence. Yeah, and I know that sounds soft and new school, but it's like these kids, like a lot of kids, especially now, like they need the nurturing. They don't get the nurturing, and it's like protecting their confidence, I think, is important, especially in this like showcase market we're in. And I know this is a stretch, but it's like kids like need to love the game and enjoy it, because like they're constantly like they're in pro ball at 10 years old now. You know what I mean? So it's
Valid
like
point.
yeah.
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 The movements between a pitcher and a hitter are pretty similar, like through the center of the body and how the core should work, how the hips should work through the baseball. I talk to kids all the time, and I'm like, hey, this is me personally, and I want to get y'all's take. I would rather have a kid with the worst swing in the world get the most confidence at the dish versus the best swing in the world and no confidence at the dish. What's your take on that?
I don't know. That's a tough question.
I like a good swing.
I
but
like a good swing, but
Right?
At what age are we talking?
Any age.
I like it.
How bad of a swing are we talking? 'Cause obviously, like you can't play this game at a high level with a horrible
All right,
swing.
so not to call out. So like, who's the worst swing that you've ever seen in the big leagues?
Well,
Let's call them out.
I have a story or
right,
anecdotal, and
right.
you actually know this guy. Hopefully, he sees this and doesn't take it the wrong way. But Logan Ratledge,
Yeah, old rat.
Jake Fincher, right? Former teammates of mine. Jake Fincher and I, we played at Providence. Logan played at Audrey Kell. Heck of a player, stud. If you go back and watch Logan swing, it was a good swing. It wasn't great, but he thought he was Babe Ruth every time he stepped in that box. And he played like it.
He was tough to
and he
get
got
out.
away with it. And you look at Hunter Pence, like obviously there's anomalies and outliers all across the big leagues, all across every level. I like the kids that think they're good. It's a different generation now. I don't know if social media has a big part of that, to where everyone's just looking at highlight reels and trying to keep up with the Joneses. Social media is not real life. But at the same time, I think it's almost good, going back to your point, to at some point, like, they're going to fail in baseball. And if you can almost get them acclimated and equipped with the tools to handle that adversity at a young age, I feel like it gives you a competitive advantage, because it's coming at some point. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of baseball. But I don't know. I struggle with confidence, even as a first rounder out of high school and even at NC State. Like, at a certain point, like, you got to have confidence, but I think it has to go a step deeper into how you create confidence. for yourself. To me, that was work ethic. Like, I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm going to work smarter. And when I get in that box, like, I know I did everything that I possibly could to prepare for that moment, and I was going to kick his butt. Didn't always happen, but I felt that way when I prepared correctly. So I can sit here and talk about the mental part of the game for 8 hours.
I like the other sports that help baseball and playing other sports, because I think more guys at the younger levels need to see themselves at the plate one-on-one with the pitcher. Like the true competition, I'm one-on-one with the pitcher right now, and I feel like that mindset would help a lot of the other aspects of that time at the plate in that particular at bat. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You see yourself one-on-one with the pitcher, just like you're one-on-one ISO on the basketball court, or you're one-on-one as the cornerback,
No
wide
doubt.
receiver. Like you're one-on-one with that pitcher, or you're as a pitcher, you're one-on-one with that hitter.
I think this is a funny story. So I had the privilege of playing for Pete Rose Jr. We're in Kannapolis, and Pete the third, was probably 6 years old, and he wanted to go hang out in the bullpen with the relievers during a game, and Skip wouldn't let him. He's like, I want you to hate those guys on the mound because they are essentially trying to take food and money away from you every time you get in that box. He goes, that's what Senior instilled into me. And he goes, I'm a manager, so I have to like our pitchers, but I hate those guys. And I'm like, come on. I was like, well, first of all, like, Pete, your son's 6 years old. Like, let him go hang out in the bullpen if he wants to go hang out with the pitchers. He's like, no, he's sitting in here with us. And I'm like, okay. I mean, who am I to say anything to Pete Rose Jr., who also, I think he had 3,000 hits in the minor leagues, and his dad's arguably the greatest hitter of all time. So obviously it worked for them, but I think you got to have that mindset.
Maybe that kid wanted to make the most money and have the best looking wife of being a pitcher. That's why I wanted to hang out in the bullpen with
No doubt.
Or he just wanted to work once a week. Up to him.
And jog a little bit.
Yeah, and jog.
Start it all
couple
over.
arm circles.
Throw a little arm,
Beat a spread first for everything.
Those guys.
Who's the toughest pitcher you guys faced? Doesn't matter what age. Is there anybody you remember that was just the toughest guy to hit against?
Chris Sale was really tough for me.
That's a good
That's
one.
a tough
I
one.
faced him in the cage.
How'd you do?
He walked me.
It's a win.
Coach
you go.
wasn't swinging much. And I usually hit lefties really well, but he hit it really well. It was tough.
Sale, as a lefty, I would not want to face Sale.
I was
that
a
thing's
righty,
coming,
I
I
still
know
didn't
that
wanna
thing's
face
coming
it.
out from your ear hole.
It's not even coming from the mound. It's
Yeah, it's
like
way
Yeah,
out
behind
there.
you.
It's
I'm
coming
good on
this
that.
angle to me.
right.
There goes my wood.
Rodon was the first guy I ever faced that had 3 different sliders.
Yeah.
He
had
did.
He had the strike slider at like 87. He had the chase or the chase, and he had the real tight one. That was the first guy I ever faced that had 3 different ones, and you're like, good lord, this is as a lefty, like, get me out of this box.
High 90s fastball.
Yeah, I feel like it's always like, where was I at, like in that part
Yeah.
of the season, and like, is this guy dialed today? Because like sometimes you meet that perfect match of like, I couldn't hit water if I fell out of a boat this week, and then this guy's dialed in. We have 1 hit, and it's just like the perfect combo. But for me, it was honestly Chapman in 2023. We were in Texas, and like, I don't know if he just put together like a good at bat on me, but like, I was like, surely this guy's gonna throw me like first pitch fastball, and he like dotted me with a slider, and then just like finished me up and away with a fastball, and it's like I just walked back like. I really wasn't even close there to anything. It's like, yeah, coach, I tried.
Right. I remember I have 1 hit in pro balls in AAA against Jerome Williams, who's 93, 94 at the time. And if he throws me 3 breaking balls, I'm out. Like, I'm so out. So this goes back to our swing versus approach, or, swing versus confidence. I was going to swing the bat, and I was on time for the fastball. If he threw me 3 sliders, I was out, or 3 curveballs, I was out, 3 changeups, I was out. But he threw the first pitch fastball. It was in the zone. I got a ground ball, 1 hopper up the middle, and my swing was terrible. Okay, like, that's not something we just work on, right? It just happened to be I was relieving, and my spot came up, and I got to take that spot and then go pitch in that inning. So for me, if I got to lean one way or the other, I want the guy with confidence and knows how to compete. So you talk about times in your career when you're struggling. And this is the game within the game that Tyler mentioned. You're not thinking about your swing going up. You're trying to, as a hitter, sometimes take something away from the pitcher, and at the same time you give something up. But like you're covering a half of the plate or you're covering one pitch, right?
Yeah, I would start by saying like, yes, in a perfect world, but like I was thinking about my swing, which is
Okay.
why I failed
100%
longer. I think that's where like baseball is very like perseverance oriented, like adapting to failure, because like you tell kids that like failure's coming, and it is, and it's like this is how you respond to failure, but like what failure feels like when you're in failure versus looking at failure in someone else, it's very different. Like the feelings that come with that struggle sometimes can be so overwhelming that like it feels impossible to change your mindset. And for me, it's like I just want to make sure I start with saying like I fell victim to I went to the box in the big leagues a lot of times thinking about where my hands, where my feet were, and I'm like against the best pitchers in the world because I just think like I wanted control of something that made me feel safe in the box. You know what I mean? Versus like when I limited my struggle, I probably wasn't I probably didn't struggle as long because I simplified the task at hand. So when I was able to come out of those places, I probably struggled for a few games. I was like, all right, I need to get out of my swing. And I just committed to, this is what this guy does. Look at the scouting report. Like, this matches what I do well. And, like, I'm going to 3-0. Like, 3-0 count this guy. Because, like, my struggle has always been when I'm off, I swing more. And that's a recipe for disaster because guys will just expand the zone, you'll cheat, and you'll find yourself back. So it's like I wanted to be aggressive, but I wanted to shrink my zone. So if I expanded that zone, I'd still be within a hitting zone.
Yeah.
So it's like counterintuitive because you just want to like, it's almost like when you're struggling really bad, like walks are great, but like you're just like, I just want to get out of here. Like, I just want to hit because, like, we're just delaying. Like, it's still happening. You know what I mean? And so you can get a little bit over-aggressive. But for me, it's like, yeah, if I can slow down and command the strike zone and, like, see some pitches, get comfortable in the box again, like, there's a process toward getting your feet back underneath you.
Right. So Chris Sale, Aroldis Chapman, Carlos Rodon, toughest at bat.
Marcus Stroman.
Okay.
It's funny, we practiced all week leading up to that game Friday night, knowing we're facing Stroman. We had the big hack out. We're getting blown up all week. Talk about building confidence and feeling good going into a Friday night game. But I remember we got him the first inning. I think we put up a 3-spotted. We all just ambushed. We got him early because that was essentially the only way to get to him. And then this goes back to bulletproof confidence. Stroman, we're sitting there watching his body language. He was unfazed and then proceeded to punch us out 15 times after that. And I'm like, that's big league. Like that was different, but he was tough.
Yeah. So when you guys are in the box, we had some conversations here recently of some hitters see spin and some hitters see shape. Old school baseball is, hey, be ready to hit the fastball. Be ready to hit the fastball top of the zone, right? New school baseball is see spin or see shape. You guys, where were you at when you were hitters?
I was just attacking the fastball.
You're just attacking fastballs,
I'm dead
right?
serious. Like,
Yeah.
I'm swing, take. Like,
I mean, as a pitcher, I'm
pitch.
taught to get 0-1, right? I'm taught to pitch ahead. As a hitter, you got to hear that and say, I got to be ready to hit first.
That was my
fastball.
flaw. I swung too much, and my hand-eye was really good. So when I swung, I usually made contact,
Yeah.
good or bad.
Yep.
That was my problem. But I was always like fastball. And the older I got, the higher I got up. It wasn't. It wasn't first
they
pitch
don't do that.
fastball.
Yeah, no,
it
no,
might
no.
not be a fastball. It might be 2 changeups, slider away.
Yeah.
Especially in leverage counts.
High fastball out of the zone. I'm not swinging. He just raised my eyes, and now he just goes backdoor slider, and I'm like,
Hang with him.
good job, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll sit down.
Grab your glove.
I was a
Yeah.
fastball hitter. That's why I didn't play college baseball.
Okay. So, just spin versus shape.
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 That's how I mean, I'm not saying there's a right. Like, like Tommy LaStella went to Coastal, played in the big leagues for a long time. Really, really, really good hitter. Really good commanding the zone. He used to sit in on bullpens and just talk about like seeing spin, and I was like, that's super cool. Like, I don't have that tool. Like, I see really well, but everything for me is like picking up a subconscious shape. Like, everything works off tunnels, everything works off shape. So it's like I try to maximize what zone I can't be deceived in and attack that area. if that makes sense, like per pitcher, because like I don't know how that develops or how that happens, if it's eyesight or if it's just like reps over time and you find yourself like looking back at a system that's already been established in you. But for me, it's always been like shape.
I got a question for the hitters. Would you guys pick up release point, or would you pick up spin halfway to home? And I've heard Barry Bonds say he would have a soft focus basically in the same area of where he thought the release point was going to be. It was soft, and then, yeah. And I look back and I laugh because I was a career 200 hitter in pro ball, so I didn't really do any one of those. I tried to get the fastball early, especially when I wasn't going good, because I knew if I got down 0-2, like it was going to be an embarrassing walk back to the dugout. But I would try to hunt the heater, but as I matured and learned more about my swing, I think there's times to sit on pitches, but you do it intelligently by watching what he's already done, what he's done to similar hitters in the lineup, what he's doing with runners in scoring position. Like, you got to watch a game. And I feel like a lot of young players don't watch the game, but that's the test. And if you take a second to observe and actually lock in, you gather more information to make more educated guesses when you're in the box.
Very true.
The most frustrating thing in the world to me is watching a college baseball game at second and third, 2 outs, whatever it is, and the guy up there just comes up to hit and takes an absolute hanging breaking ball. The first pitch, like, bro, what? Like,
Yeah,
this,
what are you looking for?
Correct. What are you
It's like,
looking
do you
for?
think they're going to groove you a heater when it's second and third? Like, you got to open base.
It is
like,
so
hey,
frustrating.
yeah, go ahead and just
like,
knock these two runs in.
It's an easy thing. The kid's going to hang you a breaking ball, and you just go up there and take it. And then you take an 0-1 breaking ball. I'm like, it's just like, dude, you're not getting a fastball.
But that becomes like, that's where we start getting into like new school versus kind of old school, like the game within the game of like this day and age. And this is not a blanket statement, but like guys throw harder, jump higher, swing
100%.
faster. Their exit velos like are better. Like there's 8th graders hitting balls harder than me, so it's
100%.
like sick. Like you
Yeah,
guys
I
are
agree.
really good. But the difference becomes like the game with the game. Like I have gotten to where I am in a lot of ways because of like baseball IQ, like guy on deck, being able to like quiet my mind and see what's going on in the game and play that chess match of like, hey, like in its simplest form, like we have a lefty on the mound, second and third, close game, 8th inning, and we have a lefty on deck and I'm hitting in the 8 hole. That guy's the 9 hitter. Like, he probably wants to face left on left, especially because the other coach is looking at the numbers and he sees that like his arm is like the ISO, the damage, the batting average against left on left gives them a much higher probability for success. So it's like they're going to game plan around getting me to expand and then going after him. And it's like that's an art that like isn't super honestly in depth, but you don't really see as much unless like a coach explains it to a player this day and age. Like it's not really initiated by the athlete as much because everyone's trying to get their vertical bat angle correct in order to launch this ball pull side. And it's like, yeah, but you never got the pitch because he was never throwing to you.
Let me go back to something you were talking about. You're facing Stroman, and you guys have to hack attack and be throwing hard. We did the same thing when we faced the dude from Oklahoma, Jonathan Gray, our freshman year, and any of the guys that Rodon that threw hard. Here's where I think the analytics would have helped. I know me specifically, and probably anybody when we played, was being able to set up the machines nowadays with the spin rates, and so you can literally get his exact fastball, and it's going to run. Is it going to ride up on you? You can see that exact breaking ball. I know there's a lot of times where we're facing Jonathan Gray, and you're facing 99, so you're just getting the fastball pelted at you, but you never saw the breaking ball, and you never saw the changeup. So it's like these kids are now able to get. I know we wouldn't hit, and he's setting up the machine, and it's like throwing live at bats against you. And it's like you can see this guy's exact, because of the spin rates, and you can see all the analytics, you can get the exact at bat. Like that's, to me, is mind-boggling and would have helped me exponentially instead of just getting the machine and facing 99 and saying, hey, good luck.
Right.
When that 99 really does that,
That's
or
why
really
I
does
love
that.
what Brett's doing now with Win Reality and the Swing AI and the blast motion data you can get in the cage, on the field, really any time. The Swing AI stuff, I'll let you talk about it, Brett, but it gives us another tool to allow hitters to progress so much earlier, as Zach was talking about. Yeah, we have the machines that determine the velo, and if you haven't ever seen 90 and you get blown up in a game versus you can work on 90 in many instances at SBA or wherever across the country, you can get to machines that throw 100. But the swing AI stuff with Win Reality and Blast have come together to allow hitters as a tool to work on their game outside of practices. And after you have a chance to talk, I want to talk about, it's easy to watch the game for kids, but they don't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
They
We
don't.
can talk about that as well. But talk about Swing AI and Win Reality, what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so our entire platform, the ecosystem includes the VR training, which I'm extremely biased towards. Is essentially why I took the job with him, just because it's something that I personally believed in. And we were actually talking before this, Zach and I, about the value of it. And I think if you use that correctly with a plan, it's arguably the most advantageous product out there for your development. Because to me, there's a difference in having a good swing and being a good hitter. You can have a good swing all day, but if you don't know how to be on time and make quality swing decisions, you're
That's
not
a
going to be
big
that good of a hitter, right? So like, maybe I'm biased towards that because it's what I struggled with, because I had a good swing, but it didn't matter because I didn't swing at good pitches consistently. It is a way to get game-like at-bats without getting game-like at-bats. And there's a reason why MLB clubs will give their prospects 1,500 to 2,000 minor league at-bats just to see if they can hack it. So if there's a way to kind of chip away at that process, I think that's arguably one of the best tools to use. And it's a lot more affordable than Traject, which I think Traject is unbelievable. That's where they have the projection there of the pitcher along with their TrackMan data to where they can see the guy. And obviously I've heard anywhere between $500,000 to $800,000. So if you got that, like, by all means, get it. Like Carolina got it. Good for them. I'm sure it's going to help with the recruiting process and actually with their player development as well. So Swing AI I love. It's simply just a mobile app, AI generated. You capture video from the side, you upload it to the app. Within less than a minute, you get a detailed biomechanical analysis as to what they're doing throughout the sequence of the swing, highlighting what you already do well and some areas of improvement, and then it will upload recommended drills to target that. And then we recently acquired Blast Motion in June, which fired me up. And I'll preface all this by saying I'm more old school than new school, but I see the value in getting objective, instant feedback for every single swing. To where if my attack angle is 28 degrees and I'm just snap hooking balls and spooning balls to the opposite side, it's like, hey, let's maybe try to, if you're one of those guys that focus on a lower trajectory, like try to hit a line drive right off the pitcher's shins, it could clean up the attack angle. But just to be able to eliminate a lot of the guesswork and actually have a plan instead of just going in there mindlessly hitting swing after swing after swing and potentially grooving bad habits, it's like you have the data there to back it up, which also helps with the feel versus real disconnect, which is important.
I love the field versus real conversations. It's in sports everywhere. But Josh Donaldson on Instagram, if your coach tells you to swing down, tell him no.
That's where this whole new age started.
You go watch Josh Donaldson swing, and he starts down.
And it's Barry
So, but
Bonds,
that was
A-Rod
his-
thought
exactly.
that. Yeah.
It's,
The funniest thing about all that is that both sides of the hitting use Barry Bonds as like an example, as like this is what he should do. And it's like at some point, like
Don't watch the greatest hitter to ever play. Watch your average big leaguer and do what they do. Like, don't be Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, like Barry Bonds. Like, it'd be awesome if we could do those things, but obviously they're gifted differently, and not every player is like that. Go watch DJ LeMahieu. Go watch shoot up Trey Turner. Like
10-year guys that you didn't know played for 10 years are good. Like
100%.
And you can model stuff after like the greatest, obviously. Like there's information to be taken away, but like
No doubt.
there's a lot of guys' names that you don't know that just got like 10 years in the show. You know what I mean? They've made a really quiet, good career.
Right. I think that a message that I would like to get across is, the game of baseball can be, you skin a cat many different ways. The game of baseball can be, you can have the smallest guys, you can have the biggest guys. Size doesn't matter. The size of the heart matters in everything, right? But your Dustin Pedroias, your David Ecksteins, your Jose Altuves, those guys, very successful. They know what they can do, just like Aaron Judge knows what he can do. So when I go to the plate and I know that the slider away gets me out every time, if you listen to Pete Rose, he says, I would slide up in the box and take the breakaway. Or if a guy's got a plus heater, I slide back in the box. I'm having trouble getting jammed, I slide away from the plate. Those are old school approaches that still can work today. But each individual kid, through the reps they take, they've got to be able to say, okay, this is who I am, and I'm going to go do this well. This is what I struggle with, and yes, I need to work on those things, but don't allow those to affect your game during that moment, right? So in your guys' careers, and we talked about the toughest pitcher you faced, is there a specific time in your careers where you're like, wow, like I've got to make an adjustment here? Was there a specific at bat where you're like, okay, I'm in pro ball, and welcome to pro ball, like this is tough, or I'm in college, you guys won a national championship at Coastal Carolina. Was there a guy that you faced or an at bat you were that moment you're like, I got to turn it up, I got to make an adjustment here? Does anything come to mind? Was it when Chris Sale threw the backdoor slider? No.
Well, my Achilles heel was right-hand. My Achilles heel was right-handers. Slider away.
Okay.
If it was in the zone, I could hit it. It was the one that started on the outer half and flowed away. No, I just knew that was what I needed to work. Like my whole career, that was what it was.
Getting kids to work on what they're not good at. How do you do that?
See, this is a
good debate,
really
too.
this is a really really good debate because like you see, like even with the pitching labs, like the most effective organizations, I think, from what I've heard, have focused on a player's strength, went out in the market and grabbed players that they liked that strength, and they didn't make their weakness better because like you're not good at something and you work on it really hard. You lose the top end because you're not focused on what you're really good at. You're bringing your bottom up and you become average at everything. So your 10 slider now is an 8 because you're focused on your changeup. You don't even use your changeup. So it's like making what makes you great even better separates you from the pack because like baseball is still, like everyone's looking to be the complete package and I think that's awesome. But baseball is still like a team-oriented strength like suited game. Like Aaron Judge isn't hitting 1 through 9. Like you do have to, most of the players in the game, like to a testament to what he said, is like most guys are playing a role. They're playing against righties. They're playing against lefties. There's not many guys that are in there every single day playing for 10 years. So it's like, what do I do well? What do I offer a team? How can I make my team better? And how do I become even better at that? Because like that is what separates you and that is your gift.
I think the question is though, at what point in your development is a weakness too far gone to work on? Would be my question. Because I agree with like all that. Like I think at some point, like once you're in college, like your deficit it's probably more advantageous for you to focus on what you're really good at as opposed to trying to fix everything you're not good at and highlight the things that can help you contribute to the team as opposed to the things that are bringing you down. So I guess the question is at what age is it like, for me, like I was never gonna get faster. So at what point is it like, I'm not gonna worry about speed training all the time? Like it's just not gonna.
I think
I'm not gonna go from a
I think it
7.3.
depends on the weakness and how important that weakness is to playing the game. Like if you're not good at like bat to ball skills,
That's an
like
issue.
that's a huge issue. If you're not good at throwing the ball over the plate, like you're still gonna make it if you throw hard enough. But like that's gonna be an issue. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like it depends on how important the thing is. Like when you're like one of the biggest struggles I had throughout my pro ball career was like I would do pretty good and it was never good enough, so I always tried to get better. So I was always chasing comparison, trying to be what I saw that they wanted a player to be. And I was a good player and I didn't have to change, I just had to be more patient. So I was so obsessed with addressing my weaknesses that like I lost my identity along the way. So it's like there's a fine line between like I'm going to go into the office and I'm going to present a court case that says that you can't tell me anything because I've covered all my holes to get to where I want, versus like, no, I know I'm not I'm not great at these things. I know like I'm in a bench role right now, and like I'm gonna do like if I'm the janitor, I'm gonna be the best janitor there is, and I'm gonna do that job as well as I can until something gives, until God moves a mountain, until you get promoted, until you get a different role, and then you step into that role. But I just don't think. I think it's hard to try to cover up your weaknesses because like then you're in delusion. Like everyone has a weakness. The best players in the game have weakness. They just don't play into those things. Like Mike Trout doesn't play around with the high ball because Mike Trout is a low ball hitter. And like you can find examples for every single player to where it is such a game with such variability. I think big league pitchers miss their spot by 8 inches, 75% of the time. So it's like, oh, hey, you're going to face this guy. Here's what he's going to try to do with you. Great. Like, I'm still going to see my first at bat if I can pull him middle in. If I find out he's dialed, second at bat, we might have to make an adjustment. But most of the time, like, you can stick to your strengths and play this game at a very high level. You do not need to be perfect to even play in the big leagues. Like you can go look at my blast data when I was in the big leagues, and you might be a little disgusted by it. You know what I mean? Like I was choking up, and I was just trying to hit the ball fair, and I was trying to get to first base because I'm like I'm in the big leagues. I'm just trying to do my job. You know what I mean? And it's like there's plenty of kids you could have found in high school with better swings than me, but like I was playing on the biggest stage in the world just because like. When I executed what I do well, I play defense, I take the extra base, I play hard, and I like should be able to put balls on play and affect like score some runs for our team. And it's like that's a job. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah, I mean, I talk about it all the time. I have an opportunity to hit with guys or throw BP to guys in a team setting, and I've told the story many times. I think I got one hit all the way through high school that was right of second base. I wasn't good at it, so I didn't try to do it. You know, if I felt like a guy was living on the outer half of the plate, I would scoot up and make it a middle pitch versus away. So I made those adjustments because I knew what I was good at, knew what I could do versus trying to do something. And you hear a lot of coaches hit the ball the other way, hit the ball backside, hit opposite field. And I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to hit it to the second baseman or the right fielder and get out. No, that's not fun.
And then they cut you a week later.
I think,
Right.
I think the hard part is like at what point, especially for coaches, at what point as a coach are you past the phase of trying to help a kid develop instead of using his talents for the betterment of the team? I think that's where it gets hairy. And like for young guys, like I feel like 10, 11, 12-year-olds, like you want to try to develop their whole game and let them, you know, develop and become a good player. For me with college guys, it's very down, hey, you are really good at this and you are going to help us do this. You are not good at this. You will not be in the game when we need this. And, you know, that's sometimes a tough conversation, but I also think it would have probably helped you in pro ball if they would have been like, we don't need you to be that. We need you to be this guy. We need you, this is what you're really good at, be this, as opposed to letting you be in the dark of like, whoa, I want to be this because I think they want that. Instead of them being like, no, we want you exactly to be this guy, go out and be the best version of that. And for me, like with college guys, it's like you want to help develop them, but also at some point you need to be like, okay, this guy helps me in this situation, this is what you're going to be really good at. You're not very good at this, you won't be in the game during this. And so I think as a coach, you flirt that line constantly, and it's a hard juggling act at sometimes.
Right. Do you guys see any hindrances to the new school data? You know, TrackMan. What are some hindrances that you can kind of get in the way of development?
The only thing I've seen is with like hit tracks or anything at the facility, you'll have a young kid hitting and there'll be a
Yep.
It's like a radar gun.
and
the pitcher on the mound.
nothing makes them happy. Yeah, like it's like with pitching and everything. I see it more obviously because I do hitting, but it's like literally swing. Oh, my exit velo went up, but my swing is like their swing's awful. Like they just yanked it into the ground. Yeah, velo went up, but so when I use stuff like that, it's more or less like let's use it the first time. Let's see where we're at. I'll bring it out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll see where we're at again. I think at a young age, older ages, I think it's great. Like you can boom, analyze your own data. You have a understanding of what's going on. These kids don't. They are literally, how hard did I hit it? How far did it go?
I have a problem even working with pitchers, and they throw a breaking ball or a two-seam fastball and it moves 20 inches, but it was 24 inches off the plate. It's not even competitive, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that was good. That felt good out of my hand, but that's not going to play. That's not going to compete.
Yeah.
Right? That's not going to do me any. I'm 1-0, or that's a ball.
Yeah.
Right? 100 miles an hour, ball 4 doesn't matter. Right? So I think it can be used, technology, obviously, in many good ways, but there are some hindrances to it. And then, how's the old school thought process and approach to things? There's obviously some hindrances to it, but how does it help? How does the old school kind of bring you back to keeping things simple, like you mentioned earlier, Zach?
That's what I was going to say. It brings you back to being simple and not overwhelming to the kids. But like we've all said, I think the data and all that stuff is great. I like it a lot. I just think it's got to, every kid's different, and you have to treat it different. So some kids might adapt to that really well, and they might understand it, and you might can talk to them on a higher level. Some you can't. So I think it's just understanding the kid and understanding what you can use and what you can't use at that time. Every kid's different.
Right. I love what Steve Springer says. Success at the plate is hit the baseball hard.
Yep.
That's keeping it simple, right? And once Greg Maddox on the other side of it, once the ball leaves, I control everything about throwing the baseball, my delivery, what pitch I'm gonna throw. But once it leaves my hand, I don't have any control after that. I become a fielder. I mean, I think pitchers are the best fielders on the field, by the way, because we're the closest to them.
I think there's a time and a place for it to where, whether we like it or not, the game has changed, the world has changed. Like we didn't drive a horse and buggy to this facility today like we drove automobiles. And if you would have mentioned that back in whatever decade cars were made, people would have looked at you like there's no shot. So the game has changed. I think it should be a mix, like a hybrid approach of where use the analytics when you're training, understand your swing, try to become your own hitting coach by actually understanding what is actually happening. But then when you step between the lines, it's more that old school mentality, and it's me versus you, big boy, and let's see who's the better man. It's compete mode.
I love that analogy because I think some 8-year-old or 10-year-old, 12-year-old walks into a hitting session with a big leaguer or with somebody that just has a ton of knowledge, and trying to put a Ferrari engine into a Pinto, right? From going off your car analogy, that ain't gonna work, right? Where are we gonna start? And that starts with asking questions. The player asking themselves questions, but more importantly, the coach asking them questions. Where are we coming from? Where are we working from, right? And then let's take steps, one step at a time, as we get there. So let's end this with some light talk. Pine tar versus the spray versus no pine tar or spray. Where were you guys at when you played?
Stick.
Yeah, big stick.
Pine tar
We have-
stick, tiger stick. It's just, it's the best.
I had it
The
everywhere.
kids that spray their bat, you guys are psychos.
Well, they would spray the barrel of their bats.
We used to spray
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
helmet.
I'm not just saying,
I used to stick with
I
them.
never,
I'm
I
coming from
never,
a pitcher that probably
Spray with
used
dirt.
sticky to give them 3,000
No,
RPMs on
I've
his
never
heater.
seen it.
I don't
Never
think
heard
you
of
guys
it.
were wearing that body armor you're coming
Yeah.
with either.
I have a
Well, we
bag-
wouldn't have to if you guys threw it over that 16-inch white thing.
If you guys didn't work on throwing 150 off the barn wall, then
Nuke a
we
loose.
wouldn't have
David
to.
Ortiz said when they had, I think it was Garrett Cole at the time, they're in the playoffs, and the whole talk about the spider tack and the sticky stuff on the fingers. And David Ortiz said, I'd much rather him use that and know where the ball's going.
Yeah,
You
100%.
should have heard the debate. This was Max Scherzer and Trey Turner in the locker room, and this is when I was doing the bullpen catching gig with the Nationals. Huge debate between those two, and Scherzer made the analogy, well, you guys get to put pine tar on your bat, so you get to grip it harder and swing faster. And Trey made the valid point of, we're supposed to hold on to the baseball bat. You guys are supposed to release the ball. And Scherzer goes, well, if I don't use it or use some sort of substance, legal, illegal, then I'll lose command. And do you want to get hit with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball in the head? And then Trey just kind of made a very valid point. He goes, you're Max Scherzer, dude. You're making $40 million a year. You're telling me that you can't throw a baseball over that 17-inch white plate without some sort of substance? But at the same time, you factor in sweat.
Yeah.
I'd much rather those guys have it if it didn't sit there and give them a obvious advantage,
Well, that's-
especially with
If it only helped with
RPMs and
location,
shit.
you would 100%.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Location
you
is
love
fair
it.
game.
I think it's like
The
Yeah, but if you go from like
spin-
2,100 RPMs on your heater to like 2,800, that thing is riding like absolutely not.
There was
You
a
guys
couple
use
year
it.
period where like everyone had 21 IVB and their spin
Yeah.
and they're throwing 3,000 like RPM sliders and you're just like that's out of control. I think that like yeah, whatever we got to do to command the baseball, but like if you're going up like 500 RPMs on your spin rate on a breaking ball
Because
because
of
of
that,
a substance,
that's the
like
problem.
now we're talking like I don't know, like can I have a drop 10?
Yeah, correct.
Can we figure this thing out? Can you guys go back about 100 feet?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, back the mound.
Yeah.
For a second, give me a drop too.
At,
Yeah.
the, at the end of the day,
Lower the mound.
some of the pitches these guys throw are legitimately unhittable.
Yeah.
Like they're just not.
Almost like it's AI. As I get on Instagram and see some of these pitch shapes, sliders that
Correct.
look like they defy the laws of physics,
Correct.
where at the last second it somehow broke 38 inches, and I know that's
What's the
Outlandish.
What's
That's
the
what,
new
like-
thing? The kick change that people are throwing.
yeah,
Like
kick changeups and splitters, man.
It's not
They're-
hittable.
they're
these
being-
guys are so good.
And then they'll
hittable.
ask you, they'll be like, "Hey, how'd you take that?" You just be like, I never saw it. Never saw it.
big league take.
Wasn't a good
I saw it
take,
earlier.
yeah. How'd you see the spin? I didn't.
Batting gloves versus no batting gloves. One batting glove.
Oh,
Dorky.
yikes! One batting glove.
You were one back.
No, I think
One
no
batting glove
batting
on
gloves like
defense
Jorge
for
Posada.
Trout.
Yeah,
I think it looks gritty.
Yeah.
Did I ever do it? No.
I would have
I
launched the
love
bat.
batting gloves. Yeah.
I would have launched the bat. My hands. I'm a
Yeah, I wear bat
profusive
gloves, too.
sweater. I would have launched the bat.
I
No
could
chance.
see the no batting glove thing being an intimidation factor versus that one-on-one with the pitcher. Like it's that reliever comes in with the long beard or the long hair, the nasty look.
Yep.
Remember the Cincinnati Reds bullpen, the nasty boys, and stuff. That stuff's kind of left the game a little bit. Everybody seems a little pretty to me.
I do.
Yes.
And I'm gonna get less fun for a sec, but like on that note, like no batting gloves off the tee to get warmed up in the cage actually will help you produce like a smoother, like he was saying, like batting gloves and pine tar, like let you swing harder. It's like if you have not enough stick to grip and you're using like no batting gloves in the cage, like
There's some
you kind of have a
feel
smoother
yeah.
feel to like starting to build up. So like I actually do my tee work and everything with no batting gloves, and then put my batting gloves on later in the session. So
Yeah, I see guys come into facilities and they're about to throw a bullpen. They get loose and their first rep off the mound is 100%, or their first swing off the tee is 100%. Right? There's no feel, there's no timing, I just want to kill the ball every time I swing. I'm trying to go for exit velocity or distance, or I'm trying to hit a PR on the mound. I think we need to get back to and teach the next generation. You work up to that point, and feel and consistency and timing in all of this is important, right? So with that, any last words you would like to leave with the next generation? We talked about a lot of good stuff. I appreciate you guys being here. If you had to give one piece of advice, one piece of hitting advice to a hitter, what would it be?
Mine would be just don't get overwhelmed with everything. And I'm all for the lessons and all that stuff, but don't get so caught up in it and going to 15 different people and trying to migrate it all together. Yeah, go do your thing, but like understand there's some things that work for you and there's some things that's not. Be able to decipher what that is, depending on who you're with or whatever.
Right.
Not just one way or the highway. Everybody's different.
I'll jump on that same point that you made. Don't get too many chefs in the kitchen. Find somebody that knows your swing, understands your swing, and just limit the information that you take in. There's a lot of good information out there on social media, but there's also a lot of bad. Pick and choose certain things, take it with a grain of salt, but find out what works for you. But if I had to say something to the younger generation of players, I have a lot to say. I'll keep it short. I talk. My wife gives me a hard time about it all the time. But work on the mental side of the game. I just think the bulletproof confidence, or at least training or having the skills to equip the adversity that's coming your way to minimize the downs when you encounter them, is invaluable, but more so invaluable when baseball's done. And baseball will be over, and the life lessons that you're going to take away from playing sports, but specifically baseball, would translate over into your adult life to make you very productive member of society.
And that's
Discipline, work ethic, the mentality, confidence, you name it.
Yeah, I think all that stuff's great. I think the biggest thing that I would try to convey, and something that really helped me, was when you are struggling, at the end of the day, is about getting the barrel on the ball. And so, like, you know, if you go up to plate and you are struggling, you should not be thinking about your swing. You should not be thinking about where your hands are at. The only thing you should be thinking about is getting the barrel to the ball. And that helped me when I was struggling a lot of the times. It just goes back to that. And I think the second thing, the mental side of it is, it's so much fun if you dive into it. If you dive into the game within the game, it just makes playing so much fun. We had the year we won it, in the last couple of years we played at Coastal, just the amount of guys that just love that part of the game, it just makes it so much more fun and enjoyable. So dive into the mental side of it, the game within the game, enjoy it, and at the end of the day, get the barrel on the ball, and it usually works itself out.
Yeah, I think a lot of good points. Yeah, with players, like the mental side is huge. Like 100% enjoy that. Overall, I think that don't miss out on baseball as a whole. I think that we can kind of make baseball like this pitching hitting battle, like this mound and batter's box thing, and we miss everything else. But like playing defense, running the bases, honestly, like the biggest thing is like the relationships with your teammates around you. Like my best memories aren't hitting a home run. It like honestly is like going to practice, being in the cage, these conversations. You kind of get that vibe. Like the reason we just went through an hour and 15 minutes and it felt like 5 is because like this is the environment we love to be in. We love to have these conversations. So sometimes we can get so obsessed with like where we're trying to get to that we're not, that we miss the opportunity to play today. And then if you do that long enough, like even if you play for 40 years, like it's over. You know what I mean? And you just wish you would have really cherished all those moments.
Yeah,
So
in this day and age of social media, the ability to be present where your feet are,
Yeah.
it's not easy. You know, I didn't grow up with social media, and it's become a normal thing in our life now. But be where your feet are. For me, it's be a good teammate, which goes back to your relationship part, and then compete to win. Not compete to win. I hated if I went 4 for 4 at the plate in high school, but we lost. Or I threw 3 scoreless innings in pro ball, but we lost. I wanted to win. I wanted to be a good teammate and to win all the time. So appreciate you guys, Dustin Harrington, Brett Alston, Tyler Chadwick, Zach Remillard. The people who are listening, they want to follow you on Instagram or they want to follow you on Twitter. You want to give a little shout out about how they can follow you?
Yeah, I don't even know my.
Doubted athletes.
Oh yeah, it's down there.
Stud. There you go.
Thanks to them for helping us put this podcast together. Brett?
I don't even know my Instagram.
Yeah. I'm thinking
Twitter, X,
You guys are really
be
funny.
also.
So are we old school or new school? Like, I don't know. I think we have our
mine's
answers.
just Tyler Chadwick 9 on Instagram. I think
Yeah,
that's the
if
only
you
thing.
guys-
Best athlete ever.
Yeah, ever.
If you want to
underscore.
follow me, then like the last picture is probably
Correct.
from my
I was gonna say my last
engagement about
picture.
like
Correct.
6 years ago.
We'll just have Ian add it.
Yeah.
Correct.
At the end.
It's there. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
not a whole
there.
lot
Yeah.
going
Add it
on
for
on that
us.
page.
I'm
but
more of
you
the
are
eyes
welcome.
emoji. Like I'm watching,
doubt.
but
Yeah,
I'm not
correct.
posting. So
Correct.
All right.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely, go.
This is obviously a different generation of players in a different time, but if you're not happy with your role, and I'm specifically talking about the portal, but I feel like there's almost been a trickle-down effect into the showcase baseball world. If you're not happy with your role, put your head down, get to work, and beat that guy out. Take his job. Like, there's no transfer portal in the real world. If you don't produce, or your boss yells at you one day, or you don't get along with your coworkers, like, one, have a difficult conversation, address the issue. But if you're not producing, you get fired. And that's just the reality of it. And that's one thing that I'm loyal to a fault. I think the portal is actually good in certain circumstances to where maybe you go to a school and you're not going to play. Like, you got to go play somewhere. You got to get reps. But if the situation is the coach yelled at you one day, or it's not a good fit, or whatever it is, make it work. Figure it out. Put your head down. Don't let your role define who you are. Like, outwork that guy and earn the job. Like, in life, nothing is just given to you. You're not entitled to anything. You earn it.
Yeah.
So go take it.
You have to evolve in life and in baseball and in any sport. The game is going to continue to evolve, and it's going to be at different places as we continue on in the future. Ultimately, I feel like the portal came from free agency in the big leagues, and how that going to the next team is going to give you more money, or going to where I'm going to fit in better. The free agency in the big leagues. When I was growing up, I loved the Mets growing up, and the Mets were the Mets. So that basically had the same team for my entire middle school and high school life as I was watching them. Lee Mazzilli and Howard Johnson and Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden, they were all on the team, right? Now in the big leagues, they're changing year after year, and because of free agency, and that's trickled down into college, it's trickled down into high school, and the NIL is something we haven't talked about today. Is primarily about hitting, but the game's going to continue to evolve. We're not going to go back to the good old days, right? And so that's a very good point. Compete to win, be a good teammate, and battle through the tough times. Right? There's going to be tough times. So you learn how to battle through those tough times. So I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
Yep.
Good job today, boys. That was
Thanks for
awesome.
having us. Yeah, cool.
Appreciate you.
You good? Is that a good way to end it? All right, cool.